Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Alrighty, welcome to episode 40 of the Go Get That podcast. We are recording this on Monday night of the PGA week, but we have to go back in time and recap Jordan's 25 under sole second place finish at the AT&T Byron Nelson. Just to start, I kind of said on Saturday night when he was at 20 under, I would have taken 20 under for 4 rounds, not 3. Disappointing not to win on Sunday for sure, but I mean, 25 under and not winning, that's going to happen at probably one event on tour. So disappointing, but a lot of positives from the Nelson.
Yeah, my whole take from these past 2 tournaments is that he missed 2 tap-ins in 2 straight tournaments, winning contention on the weekend, and he won one of those tournaments. You usually don't do that on tour. If you miss a tap-in, that's usually what knocks you out of the tournament. It's the competitiveness is so tight right now. So to be able to win one of those, you can't be mad. I mean, he got all the breaks at the RBC and it didn't go his way at the Nelson. And that's how it is. It evened out. Cagely, man. I mean, props to him. He was that shot on 14, especially. That was just ridiculous. I mean, that pin was so tough. You just got to tip your cap. You played a great week. And again, I don't know if this is scary or whether this is a bad thing, but I'm not sure I could feel much better going into this week than I do right now. So, which is not something I thought we'd be saying a month and a half ago. So
yeah, I think Sunday was, while not the end result, there's a lot of things to take away from Sunday. I think for Jordan as the player, there's a lot of good things to take away, and there's also a lot of good things to learn from, especially, just kind of keeping it's tough because Craig Ranch, you kind of had to keep the foot down, but he struggled out of the gate. He couldn't hit it off the tee very well, and then obviously thinned it straight into a bunker, but still made the turn in 3 under and took advantage of the holes that he needed to take advantage of, which tells you that, one, he's just playing good golf, because that's, for a while when things weren't going right, he just wouldn't birdie the 520-yard par 5s, right? Because you hit one bad shot and you try to force it, and then it just ends up being a 5. And in reality, or on Sunday, he just played the hole like it should be played. And then I mean, I think the main kind of, I guess I have 2 things that I take away that I think need, maybe not addressing, but are slight causes for concern or things to look at going forward. I think one being he had a bad 9 holes with the putter, and they happened to be the last 9 holes of the tournament, which to expect the putter to be really good down the stretch on a Sunday when it hadn't been really good sent down the stretch of a Sunday since 10 months ago is tough, especially when it's been as bad as it's been. But to see it kind of, he made a couple, right? He made a couple 5-footers, but the 3-putt on 10 was brutal. The missed 12-footer on 12, missed a chance at 11, 17. That was kind of a tough putt, but right, those are all chances, and ideally one of those drops and we're in a playoff. And then the second thing is, and this is kind of more of a whole week thing, and Jordan and I talked about this a little bit, is I felt like the short game wasn't like all that great this week. It was fine. Nothing like too bad, but I felt like he kind of cost himself a couple shots, and just sort of in spots where we see him make it look so easy, he made it look
Yeah.
more difficult, which it is, but it's like Spieth, just for his bar, they were kind of under
Yeah.
his
I just want to touch
expectation.
on what Dan just said right there about how he definitely left some shots out there on around the greens. I think that that's a good sign, because I think that, most weeks when you shoot 25 under at any course, to leave 6-7 shots out there, that's pretty impressive. To shoot
Yeah.
25 under and still have left that many shots out there. I mean, I really think he's going to lock it in this week. I just think that his focus at majors are just different. He just, he refuses to hit. He refuses to let stupid shots get away from like hitting a bad chip, right? Like that doesn't happen in a major for him, just because the focus is all there. I think the game's in a great spot. I don't think I could feel any better about how I do right now. And I think that, as Dan was saying, like, he didn't even have like his A+ game this week. He shot 25 under. Like, that's a good sign. So I do think that this was a big improvement for the putter. I think that
Oh yeah,
this was a huge improvement for the putter. The putts started to fall this week.
hard to not
And
improve, but yeah,
I look back at that missed tap in.
It's harsh
I
to
was
call it a tap in.
yeah,
it
it was a
wasn't
little
It was
it
3 feet.
wasn't a tap in,
2 feet
but
9 inches, but still
what was it?
under 2 feet 9 inches, so under 3 feet.
All right. That's still one that he should make, but like, that was a confident stroke. He got a little, I mean, it was a double breaker. He said in the interview. I look back at this. I wasn't, the one at the RBC, that was mental.
Yeah,
that's
that was
all.
bad, right?
But I think that he's just in a much more confident zone right now with the putter.
No, the putter was good. And I just want to go back to the short game for a second that Dan and I were talking about. Like, yes, he hit some mediocre short game shots. And I was thinking this to myself, but like, the importance of him making those 5 to 6 foot sliders, I think, outweighs the importance of short game shots not being as close going into Southern Hills. Just because at Southern Hills, you are not going to be putting short game shots to tap in range. You're going to have to make those 5 to 6 foot sliders. And he alluded to it on Sunday that he made 3 of them, 14, and he made a couple more on Sunday. And those are just going to be so vital for 14, 16.
16 was good.
And you're just, as I said, you're not going to be putting those big flop shots with the runoffs at Southern Hills to tap in range. You're going to need to make those short putts, which is important.
Yeah, I also thought, like, I have a couple quick thoughts about the kind of short game putting. I thought, one, he read the inside 10-foot putts a lot better. Like, if you look at Torcast and where he was lined up, it was like, okay, he seems pretty confident in this and he's going to put a good roll on it. And he knows what speed, he knows kind of where it's going in the hole. And before, it seemed like he was still kind of missing one of those components. What's the speed? What's the line? How am I going to match him? And I felt like he and Michael did a good job of kind of reading the inside 8 to 10 footers. And he made a lot more 12 footers this week, which was great to see, and needed, obviously, at Mr. Ranch. But another thing, as we kind of, this might be more of a PGA thing, but as we kind of progress, one sort of interesting thing that I've seen with the short game is that the bunker game hasn't been all that great this year. The sand saves are pretty low. And I will say a lot of that is you miss the 3-footer afterward. But from what I've seen around Southern Hills, it's a lot of bunkers. And people on the property are saying sand saves are going to be a big deal. So hopefully he, I mean, he was great at the RBC, right? And he was pretty good this week. I think he was maybe 4 for 7 out of the bunker though. So that's like it'll keep you afloat at the PGA because scoring won't be 25 under. But if you go 5 or 6 for 7, then you win the tournament, right? So it's like it's kind of those cleaning up those shots, which you'd much going into a major, you'd much rather have to clean up those shots than off the tee with the irons and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of where his focus will be these next couple days leading into Thursday, hopefully morning.
Yeah, I think we owe the benefit of the doubt to Jordan. Short game at Mr. Ranch, as you called it, it wasn't great, but I mean Jordan Spieth's short game, and I think Brooks Koepka too, very underrated short game in major championships. Jordan Spieth's short game in majors is insane. And he puts so much time into it Monday through Wednesday before the tournament starts, working on certain shots he's going to have around greens. So I think you got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he'll work his butt off. We're recording this again on Monday through Wednesday. And I mean, have we ever had a major that Jordan has lost because of his short game? I mean, the putter, obviously we've lost majors, but the short game, I can't recall.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I guess the two things that he does really well in majors are short game, and he gets the speed of the greens down really well because he knows partly that, the better speed you have, the more likely it is the ball goes in the hole, but also just having 5-footers all day is going to be taxing. Right. And I think at Southern Hills, you're just going to have to get up and down because you're going to miss greens because it's a major championship and the wind's going to be blowing 20 miles an hour with gusts up to 40 at certain points. And it's going to be hot, and then it's going to be cool, and it's going to be an awesome week. But kind of all that goes into the entire week, the simple stuff and the short game can kind of get overlooked, I think, and it's critical to keeping rounds together. So he'll put in a lot of time in that area, I think, and make sure that he's giving himself, 3 feet and in on a lot of these pitches if he's got them, and hopefully keeping everything with inside 6 or 7 feet for par, and it'll make it the less stress, the better, obviously. So.
Yeah, I can't go against that. The putter on Sunday, I thought on the back 9, if you take out 10, he putted well and they just didn't fall. I think 17, as you said, Dan, is a tough putt. Snapped left, wasn't even close, but he hit some really good putts. Like 12 was a really good putt. 11 wasn't a bad putt either. They didn't fall. That's golf. But if you take 10 out of the equation, and especially from like a strokes gain standpoint, he lost 1.6 strokes on the green on 10 on Sunday.
Yeah, that's brutal.
If he makes the 7-footer for birdie, not only do we win, but he gained strokes putting on Sunday. So, it's small margins.
And every day for the week.
Very true.
If you're a numbers person, I think he only had 2 out of the 4 categories off the tee, approach, short game, and putting. For the entire 4 rounds, I believe he only had 2 negative rounds total, and one of them was Sunday with the putter, and it was just slightly, I think, or maybe it was a little bit more than slightly. I think it was over a stroke actually, but then it was also like Thursday on approach where he lost I don't even know, it's 0.025 of a stroke. So he played really good golf for 4 days, and KH Lee was just, I don't know. He seems to have Mr. Ranch in his back pocket. So props to him. Major number 2, I guess.
51 under for KH Lee the last 2 years at Craig Ranch. 51 under par.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. Another sort of good statistical. He was great with the driver all week. He gained 4 strokes, which for Jordan Spieth is like, that's kind of absurd, given the quality of the rest of his game at times. And then on the weekend, he gained 4 strokes on approach, 2 in both days, over 2 in both days, which is really like weekend time. You're in contention and everybody's throwing darts, and you just throw darts 2 shots better than everybody else, basically. And that's what he did on Saturday and Sunday. So
Yeah, since we're
really
throwing
good
out,
week.
sorry,
I'll go ahead.
since we're throwing out stats with ball striking, obviously we did miss the cut at the Masters. It's no secret, but I was looking, if you take the 12 rounds from RBC, Valero, and the Byron Nelson, he's gaining 1.4 strokes per round with the approach game right now, which and that's number 1 on tour. So, I mean, we were talking about it about a month ago about the iron play, how it's fallen off. It's getting back to the level where it was last spring, to that top 5 level on tour, which is, it's in a good time at a place like Southern Hills where you're going to need to hit some really quality iron shots.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think another key is just like there's a common trend with when he's in contention versus when he's not, is recently he hasn't really been finishing like middle of the pack. Like it all depends on the first round. Like as long as he doesn't fire himself out of contention the first round, he's contending that week, as the previous history has shown in the recent months. That's going to be a big key at Southern Hills. That first round is going to be huge. So, because I know that we'll be very upset if he fires something that basically knocks him out of the tournament on the first day.
Don't say that.
So
It'll be
can't do that.
It'll be interesting to see. This is more PGA Championship stuff, but it's the week and it's tough not to talk about it. But it'll be interesting to see kind of what that number is, because the weather looks good in terms of it's going to be fast, firm, no rain delay stuff, and windy. So like there's 77 out of it after day 1.
I'm not signing for 77 on Thursday.
I'm not signing for 77 either, but like that, like
I'd sign for 70.
I think I'd sign for 70.
So well, how hard do we realistically think this is going to play? Like here's the thing, like
similar to Kiowa, would be my guess.
I don't think that. See, I feel like it's always hyped up that the tournament's going to be really hard, and it's not. So like,
that's fair.
See, my key though, Bob, is both the par 5s, which are supposed to be the scoreable holes, are 630 plus yards. Yeah. Like it's
fair enough.
That's tough. And I also think big greens, but I think big greens and majors can be tricky because you hit it on there and then there's just some like slopes and undulations. And if, from what I've heard, is like if you miss to get stuff close to flags, because the greens they're not going to have the greens flying this week because it's going to be windy. So they've got to keep them at a good pace, but not as fast as maybe it's going to play a little bit more openish than I think. It's basically the Open in Texas, which in Oklahoma, which like screams Jordan Spieth. But apparently you have to like hit it into 6-foot circles basically to get it close to certain flags. And they're going to have a lot of flags that they don't normally have because the greens are usually a little bit faster. But because it's windy, they have to keep them, a little bit slower so the ball's not oscillating. It's going to be a great test, I think. And I think people are expecting kind of that 4 under, 5 under range. So we'll see. I hope they go carnage round 1. I mean, I know we'll talk about it more, but I feel like majors are always like, let's get somebody out the 5 and then, too easy, let's bring them back. But I want the lead to be like -1 after day 1. If you shoot under par, that should be a good score this week. That's what I want it to be.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think 8, 9, 10 wins this tournament. I don't think we're going to get a US Open winning score here. I just don't see how it plays harder than Torrey.
What did Rom shoot at Torrey? 5?
5.
Yeah, I think it'll be closer in like the 6 to 8, 9 range.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone has a good weekend and shoots 12 under or 13 under. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
If it's 12,
I'd be very surprised if it's 5.
yeah.
But
I mean,
I
Keel
don't know, is it supposed to be chilly on the weekend? That's what I've heard.
Yep.
Saturday. I mean,
Go ahead, Jordan.
is it supposed to be like that cold or just like colder than it is?
I think it's gonna be one of the days on the weekend. It's gonna be, I think it's Sunday. It's gonna be under 70,
So
but-
Saturday,
but
so
the wind's gonna die down.
low of 54 on Saturday, high of 67. So like it's not.
Okay, so Saturday and then Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's not terrible, but it's a nice because I think Friday it's gonna break, but I hope that doesn't mean a lot of rain.
Looks like just a scattered thunderstorm. So
Okay.
it shouldn't be that bad.
That's
Yeah.
good. Because the only thing, because Bob, I think you're right. Like if it gets some water this week, because it just gets so hot and then it just starts raining, it 5 under is just not close to in play. You get any water on any course on the PGA Tour, and you sign yourself up for 12 under at
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Right.
And we can dive more into this in the preview pod. I think this was just more to wrap up. I'm not that upset about the loss. I feel like if we didn't have the RBC, this would have hurt a little more.
Yeah, I agree.
If we didn't have a chance to slam in a week, this also would have hurt a little more. But I think this sets up perfectly for a win because he's going to be motivated. I'm really confident that just, it made me. We usually don't see Jordan perform at shootouts. So
It's been a while. That's for
Well, yeah,
sure.
not recently.
So to see him, it's ridiculous. It's 2,500 isn't winning a tournament on tour, but
Mr. Ranch.
Mr. Ranch.
Let's talk about Mr. Ranch for a little bit here because
All right. I like the hat, Dan.
thank you.
Okay.
Celtics
Celtics.
7, big time dub.
What are we thinking for
You know what's up?
the ECF? What do we like?
I think, well, I mean, I'm a Celtics fan, but I do like to just think Heat in 7, because then if the Celtics lose, I don't feel as disappointed. But if I actually if I'm being a homer, Celtics in 6, I think seems fair.
Yeah.
Celtics, they have more. I mean, Butler's a beast, but Celtics, I think, have a man. But the Heat are like sneaky good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great series. What was I saying about Mr. Ranch? Oh yeah, that was disappointing for Mr. Ranch this week. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we talked it up all week as a major venue, and obviously that's 99% sarcastic, probably 100% sarcastic. But I mean, 26 under winning a tour event, it didn't even get that much rain either.
I mean, they could have easily made that a 20 under winner.
yeah,
They made that setup as easy as possible on the
That's what I'm
weekend,
saying.
and that's what was really frustrating. Sunday, it wasn't even that bad, but for as easy as the course is, I get that you put the pins in tough spots, but that doesn't mean you can't tip it out. They played it 400 yards shorter than it could have been played.
exactly right.
Come on.
Also, the weather, it didn't blow as hard as it could have. It didn't blow as hard as it's projected to blow in Tulsa this next week at Southern Hills. So that probably plays a bit into it. It was also extremely hot. So obviously the more moisture in the greens, things kind of they didn't quite firm out the way, without the wind, it didn't quite firm out the way it could have. So that was a little unfortunate. But I just think, talking to Jordan about this the other day, and they just need to in between the Masters and the PGA, I think they just need to kind of they need to tweak. I mean, the schedule's not great at all, but if they're going to keep all those 5 events, they just need to reshuffle them, I think. And you get a better Mr. Ranch needs a chance in April. That's what I think.
Mr. Ranch doesn't need a chance, period. But
Here's what I think you do to Mr. Ranch to make it better.
take it off the schedule.
Come on, give Mr. Ranch a chance, man. I
mean,
you move it the week after the Masters, so it'll be a little bit cooler. Probably you won't quite have the summery wind. You'll still have a little more of a spring wind. You'll probably get not as good of a field as this week, but you'll still get like the classic AT&T Byron Nelson field, which is all they need.
Heath, Maverick McNeely, and
right, exactly. All the AT&T guys. Zalatoris will be there, Palmer, maybe Scheffler. So you'll get like a meh field, but they don't really care about it because it's the Byron Nelson. And then you take number 9 and you make that like a 480 par 4.
I can get down with that.
Which I think is doable. And then you take number 18, and depending on the wind, you make it like a 505 par 4.
I like that.
And you play Mr. Ranch as a par 70 in a different kind of season where it's not as hot. You get a little more spring wind, and you still have the like drivable 4. I think the par 3s are pretty good. They just start surrounded by a bunch of like meh par everything else's. But I think if you're gonna keep Mr. Ranch on the schedule, which it seems like they will, I think you just got to move it around and change up the scorecard a little bit, or just tip it out. Like, why not play it at the 75 that they have it as?
Yeah,
like that's just dumb.
I don't know. I think Mr. Ranch is a lost cause.
I have to agree with Bob.
I just don't want to give up on Mr. Ranch yet.
I think Mr. Ranch has some good holes, but you cannot tell me that is a better venue than Trinity Forest. I love Trinity. I thought it was great. I know that it rained every year and it was always like a Monday finish, but
put it in April. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I agree.
Masters, and then
put it somewhere else in the schedule.
My whole I was telling Jordan, I was ranting to Jordan about this the other day.
It was a rant.
Dude, here's what you do. Move the Byron Nelson to the week after the Masters. And then you go Zurich, RBC Heritage, right in between the PGA and the Masters, because you'll get a great field there. And people like Hilton Head's that's a golf course.
I like where you're at right now. Problem is Spieth would have to play after the Masters every year.
I mean,
I don't think he'd like that.
No, but I
don't think the AT&T Masters would like that.
Ranch good, and I think it does the rest of the PGA Tour schedule some good, because then you follow that up with Mexico, which is not that great either, and then Wells Fargo, and I think you have better balance, and you get
fire the Wells Fargo into the sun.
You're not a Wells Fargo fan.
No.
You just don't bank with Wells Fargo, or is it like some other beef?
I just don't mess with it. Here's my thing with Wells Fargo. Coil Hollow is such a fraudulent golf course. It's got history, right? Like, no, it's awful. It's such a bad course. I just don't like.
That's fair.
I think it's so basic, but it's Rory's.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think people enjoy it. Like you get.
And Quail Hollow should never ever be a major venue ever.
Right. Well,
that's true.
It's gonna be again, though, isn't it?
2025.
Oh, come on!
You've got to be kidding me. PGA Champ.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that means Spieth is gonna have to play the Wells Fargo that year too.
No, I think they'll move the Wells Fargo.
Back to
They won't
Avenel
have, like,
Farm.
the same course. Yeah, I liked Avenel Farm. I
Is
don't know
that
what you
TPC
guys.
Potomac?
Yeah, I
It's
don't know
just
what you
pissed
guys.
down rain for 3 days. But
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't know.
TPC Potomac was a good tournament, I thought.
I liked. I think partly because of the weather, but I liked some of the two of the par fives. I thought were
Great.
good because you couldn't get there in two unless you especially on one of them because it's like 610, but you couldn't get there in two on the other one unless you piped your tee shot. Like even if it wasn't raining, you would have to get a great tee shot and then hit a good second up there. And there's like a landing zone that is a good kind of layup landing zone, and I like that because you certainly do not see that at Mr. Ranch. But
Ranch is just a lost cause.
The lost cause.
it's
Here's
a
the thing
lost
about
cause,
Mr.
but
Ranch, though. Mr. Ranch is I think it's a great course for an amateur. I think that would be a very fun round there. Personally, I just don't think it can handle a tour event personally. It's nothing against the course. It's just too easy.
yeah, because it's in May and they make it a 72.
Oh, it could easily be a 70. Easily.
That's what I'm saying. Make it a 70, move it to April.
There's no way 9 should not be a par 4.
Yeah. Honestly, go ahead.
And there's just no way you can't, like, it's just a disaster.
You
You
could-
can continue.
You can make 18 a pretty difficult closing par 4 too.
No, I like it as a par 5. I think you'd want to do.
Well, then you
One of the
need to
other
back
ones.
it up though, because they were
Yeah.
playing it at like 512, and you're like,
Yeah.
bruh, come on. I mean, I know it was into the wind, and they were
Yeah.
hitting some sick cut 3 woods into it on Sunday, which Spieth's was like a yard from perfect, but we could
Yeah.
discuss Mr. Ranch all day.
Yeah.
Actually, probably not. This is about the
No, we got to move on from Craig Ranch.
this is
I've had
about
enough.
the end of my thoughts on Mr. Ranch. Other than that,
Until next year, Mr.
Uh,
Ranch.
I hope it gets the 2026 US Open or something.
That'd be hilarious. I'd actually be so down for a Craig Ranch major. Like, as much as we joke about, that would be hilarious.
Oh, yeah, Spieth would have a good
What,
chance.
what if 1 year they just like something goes wrong in Sawgrass, so they make players to Mr. Ranch?
I think it would be hilarious if they had a major at like a worn down municipal golf course. I think that would be hilarious because that's how 99% of golfers play.
Yeah.
Like your average Saturday morning hacks, rock bunkers, rough for fairways. I mean, the greens
Fairways
are
for
rolling an
greens.
8 on a
Yeah.
stimp on a good day.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I think there should at least be like a match there, like a Tiger versus Phil, just a worn down municipal golf course,
Yeah.
but it'll never happen.
Actually, I was thinking, because I know there's been a lot of talk about like a mixed event with like PGA Tour pros and LPGA Tour pros.
Yeah.
I feel like Craig Ranch wouldn't be like a terrible spot for that.
You're really on the Craig Ranch.
I just want to give Mr.
defense,
Ranch a chance. Yeah, unfortunately, I
emotional.
feel a little
attachment.
bad for Mr. Ranch. I don't think it's in the right spot. But at the end of the day,
I will say TPC Craig Ranch is better than some of the courses they play on tour. So
like
give me
what?
Craig, give me Mr. Ranch over Torrey Pines any day of the week.
I think I have to disagree with that, unfortunately. Torrey, as much as like don't like Torrey Pines, it's still a good. It's still a good test of golf. Craig Ranch is a good test of can you make birdies. Excuse me, Mr. Ranch is a good test of can
Craig Ranch isn't a test of anything. It stinks.
no, it's a test of your birdie ability.
No, it's a putting contest. That's literally
Right.
all it is. There's nothing
So
to it.
it's a test of your
No.
putting ability.
A good golf course tests everything. Craig Ranch doesn't test
Oh,
everything.
but I'm not saying it tests them. It's a quiz. It's a quiz of your.
It doesn't even test
Or-
putting because the greens aren't that difficult.
It quizzes.
It stinks.
It's the pre-test.
It is the pre-test, basically.
It's the pre-test. It's like I don't know. It's the oh man, it's the like 12 by 12 multiplication tables that you had to do in like 5th grade.
Do we have anything else on the Nelson?
I don't think so. I think it's time to move on, get some
I love
rest,
Mr.
and
Ranch, man.
full speed ahead. We have some great content coming up for you guys at the for the live preview. You guys are gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be a great week. Can you imagine the scenes if we're hoisting that Wanamaker on Sunday? It honestly, I don't think we are prepared for how amazing that would be.
No.
Because that would literally cement him as probably a top 10 player all time, barring he doesn't like win ever again. So
All we can ask for is a chance on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's
Really all
that
you're-
being said, I cannot imagine losing the PGA in a fashion like we lost Pebble, Colonial, or the Byron Nelson. Can you imagine losing the PGA by 1 again? I would not be able to do it.
that would suck. Because you
Especially when you miss
think
a
about
tap
all
out.
the like 5-footers that slid by or whatever, and it's like, oh, just make 2 of those and you're a slam champion. I don't know. I think we have a couple guys to keep an eye on for next week are certainly Mr. Flower. His battle with Cut will be electric.
Did you see what he said today?
Yeah, about the Saudi stuff. Low key, it makes sense because he's like 150th in the world. So
He
although I
would
don't
draw
know,
ratings.
he would draw ratings, but the sad part is he probably wouldn't even win over there either. he'd be like the 15th best LIV player, and it's just he would lose all
William
those
Statham would
sponsorships
wipe.
here and stuff too.
Would wipe him.
Obviously Mr. Woods is already there prepping. DeChambeau's back, so the ratings are going to be electric, obviously. Rory. Yes, of course.
Don't say it.
So yeah, we'll leave it at that. I mean, I'm so pumped about it. It's gonna be the weather looks perfect for a major. And like I said earlier, it literally looks like an Open Championship in Oklahoma, which is
Yeah.
so Spiethian. It's almost
Too good to be true.
maybe. That's what I'm we'll get
I'm a little worried about that too. Like it seems like too many things are adding up. But we'll see.
we will see. Yeah, I have
Take
no
care.
more thoughts.
See ya.
I'm
Take care.
trying to come up with any last. Oh, we're done.
Say goodbye.
Peace.